Hey, last week I was in Naples, Florida, with a different mastermind, not mine, and I was there as a keynote speaker. And something happened to me in that room that I wasn't expecting. And it wasn't during my presentation, it was after it. One of the members pulled me aside and said, "I've heard versions of this before. Podcasts, books, seminars, but something about hearing it in this room with these people made it actually land." And I've been thinking about that conversation ever since, because that's not a compliment about my content. That's a statement about what rooms do that everything else can't. The room is really your mechanism, and most business owners are operating without one. So let me ask you a question. When was the last time somebody looked you in the eye, someone who actually runs a business, has made payroll, has fired a bad client, or even had a slow month that they had to stare down, and they told you the truth about what they see in your business? Not your spouse or your employees or your golf buddy, because they pretty much all agree with everything you say, except maybe for the spouse part. Someone with skin in the game of their own business. Someone who has nothing to gain from being nice to you. For most professional service providers, the honest answer is not recently, and possibly, maybe not ever. And it's that absence, that missing voice, it's costing you more than any bad marketing campaign or wrong hire ever has. Because here's the thing about working and operating alone. You don't notice your thinking getting stale. You just notice your results getting flat. So here's what I observed when I was in Naples. I shared something in that room that I've shared hundreds of times. The math on customer acquisition versus customer retention in my carpet cleaning business. It cost me $136 to get a new customer in the front door. But every year, it only cost me $23 to keep them. I've said those numbers from stages for years. I've put them in my newsletters, written about them in blog posts and articles. Most people hear them, they nod politely, and go back to spending 95% of their marketing budget on acquisition and almost nothing on retention. But something different happened in that room. A guy across the table, I think he was in real estate, he's been in business for quite a while, really sharp operator. He heard those numbers, and he didn't nod. He went quiet. And then he said, "I don't even know what my number is." And the whole room shifted. Because now it wasn't my number on the board. It was a question everyone in that room had to answer for themselves. So what's your number? Okay, that's what you need to find out. But you see, this is what the room does. It takes information you've heard before and makes it personal. It's virtually inescapable because you're not reading it on a screen alone at 6 a.m. You're sitting across from someone who just admitted they don't know their number either. And now you have to decide what you're going to do about yours. It's not going to be a podcast. I don't think a book is going to do that. And a webinar certainly is not going to help you. It's the room that does it. Napoleon Hill figured this out way back in 1937. After 20 years of studying Carnegie, Ford, Edison, every industrialist who's ever built something serious, he landed on one common thread. And that's the mastermind principle. He called it the coordination of knowledge and effort between two or more people working toward a definite purpose. And he argued that when aligned minds focus on the same problem, they produce a third mind, collective intelligence that no individual brain can generate alone. Walt Disney knew this before Hill even published it. Every night during Snow White rehearsals and writings and things like that, he packed animators, musicians, gag writers all into the room together. They had sketches on the walls, arguments about timing and emotion, and there was Walt physically acting out character movements on the tables. Not because he was the smartest guy in the room, but because he understood that the room was smarter than any one person in it. So you can't do it alone. One mind recycles its own thinking. A room of aligned, challenged, honest operators produces thinking none of them could generate by themselves. This is not philosophy. This is not something woo-woo. This is what I happened to watch in Naples last week. The real estate guy who didn't know his retention number, by the end of the hot seat session, he had a specific plan built by the collective intelligence of that room to find out, fix it, and implement a retention sequence before the next meeting. One room, 2 hours, boom, done. Now, I got to be honest with you about something. Most masterminds running today are not what I just described. Most of them are expensive therapy sessions. Somebody presents a problem. The room offers warm, supportive validation. Gosh, that sounds really hard, they'll say. Everybody leaves feeling understood and not one step forward. So here's what you need to know. Validation does not equal progress. The rooms that actually change businesses operate with a different standard. The meeting exists to produce output, a decision, a plan, a number. It's not there to produce better feelings about the situation. Hell, I don't need that. I got 2 ex-wives to worry about producing feelings for me. And they have accountability built in. You don't just leave with a good idea, you leave with a commitment. And the next meeting, before you ask the room anything, you report back on whether you did the thing you said you were going to do. That accountability piece is what separates a room that changes your business from a room that changes your Tuesday afternoons. I watched it work in Naples. I've watched it work in my own Alliance Mastermind for the last 3 years. The mechanism isn't magic, okay? It's standard plus accountability plus the right people. Let me give you a concrete example from my own mastermind, the Alliance. Leonard Raskin, he's a financial advisor for business owners. He's over 20 or 25 years in practice. He walked into his first Alliance meeting knowing his pricing wasn't right, but he was unable to pull the trigger on changing it. Within 6 months of being in that room, he tripled his fees to new clients. His logic, which came directly out of his hot seat, was simple. I can triple my price and attract 1/3 of the clients, and I am going to be more profitable. But I also have more time. And the clients I do attract at that price point are better clients. That math existed before he walked into the room. He knew it intellectually, but it took a room of serious operators looking him straight in the eye and saying, "So what are you waiting for?" to actually get him to move. In 2 years, he's written 3 books, rebuilt his client intake process to filter out the wrong clients before they cost him a dime. He's built business relationships inside the Alliance Mastermind he would never have found operating alone. This is not coaching or any of that woo-woo stuff. This is the room working. So here's one thing before the week is out. Write down the 5 people you've had the most substantive professional conversations with in the last 30 days. Then ask one question about each of them. Did this person challenge my thinking? Or did they validate it? Challenging sounds like this. Your pricing is the symptom. Your positioning is the actual problem. Validating sounds like, the market's tough right now. If your list is heavy on validation, you haven't found a market ceiling. All you've found is a proximity ceiling, and proximity ceilings are the only kind you can actually fix because you control who's in the room. I'm opening up a small number of seats in the Alliance Mastermind coming up in July. Serious professional service operators. We meet 4 times a year in person. Hot seats, accountability. The standard is output, not feelings. If you want to know what's going on in the room before you decide, I've got a couple of guest observer opportunities, some guest passes, for our August meeting in Annapolis, Maryland. It's on August 6th and 7th. Only 3 seats and by invitation only. So you can email me at vance@deliverprofitsnow.com and just put in the subject line Alliance Info, and I'll send you the details. There's no pitch call, there's no pressure, just the information so you can decide whether this is the room that you've been missing. I'll see y'all next week.